let's meet today's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Dutchman. At midfield, number 3, Caden Brainerd. At long stick middle, number 7, Luke Wergo. At attack, number 11, Sam Bowen. At attack, number 12, Gibson Heathisi. At defense, number 14, Will Jewell. At defense, number 22, John Foster. At defense, number 30, Brendan O'Donnell. At attack, number 43, Michael Mann. At midfield, number 45, Owen Mueller. And in goal, number 29, Jack Balmforth. The head coach of Hope is Michael Shandles, and he is assisted by Chris Schelt, Pablo Pesquera, and Nick Challens. And now, the starting lineup for your Carthage College Firebirds. At attack, number 4, Ian Edwards. At midfield, number 6, George Birchfield. At defense, number 9, Diego Smilenick. At midfield, number 22, Johnny Lane. At defense, number 26, George Mobreton. At midfield, number 30, Ben Kroc. At defense, number 32, Josh Flores. At attack, number 40, Alec Gurn. At midfield, number 45, Andrew Fry. And in goal, sporting number 48, Luke Bloomer. The head coach of Carthage is David Neff, and he is assisted by Connor O'Brien and Danny Rossi. Fans, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
welcome everybody to the Carthage College Firebirds broadcast. I am Jill Ryczek. Peter Ferreri will be joining us shortly. But as for now, let's get into a little bit of these two teams' history together. So dating back to 2013, Carthage has 5 wins to 2 losses. Currently they're on a losing streak of 2 against Hope College. Carthage is currently sitting at 5-3. They're undefeated at home currently so far this season. And Hope is sitting at 4-3. They are 2-2 away, so it'll be a pretty fun matchup to watch today. Nice save by Carthage to begin this period. Looking at these two teams, they're pretty evenly matched up. They both like to start hot on offense, and they also like to take a lot of shots. They both have over 300 shots taken so far this season. They also have a lot of turnovers. Hope has 146 so far, and Carthage is just 2 shy from them with 144. You can see Hope College just trying to pass and start something here in this first period and get it going on offense. Carthage's last game was against Concordia at home. They came out with the win 17-12. A big part of their win was their offense coming out, starting hot, which is what they've done so far this entire season. You know, Carthage's defense is playing well too. They held the NCAA leading score to only 4 points last game versus Concordia. You know, Coach Neff said that he gives a lot of that credit to Diego Smilenick. And there's a goal for the away team, Hope College.
So, Jill, how'd they get that opening goal as a quick one? Hope coming out strong.
Yeah, you know, Peter, Carthage has come out strong, and Ben Kroc, he's one of the leading scorers for this Carthage team, and again, you see it within the first 2 minutes of this period, immediately scored a goal. So he's a big part of their offense, along with George Birchfield. Last week against Concordia, Coach Neff said that their win was a lot of the credit going to George. He said George may have just played the best game in Carthage history because he had 7 goals, 4 assists, which was a team best of 11 points. George is currently...
You had a conversation with him?
No, you know, he said that in just the wrap-up report on Carthage.
I mean, that counts. That counts as talking. I know you're behind-the-scenes reporting on this team now, so...
Well, yeah, and, you know, George is actually tied right now the 5th best record for most points in a single game for Carthage right now, so I don't want to say he is the offense because they do have a lot of depth. You know, they have a bunch of scorers like Ben Kroc and Johnny Lane, but he is a big part of this defense, and he gets the momentum going and brings the team confidence and allows them to start hot on offense.
Hope on the offensive yet again. This is more recently, you could say, uncharted waters for the Firebirds, not necessarily being on the defensive so early. However, well, taking a lot of time back at X. Scooping around, losing the handle. They are playing with the orange ball today. For those that don't know, it snowed.
In March, it snowed.
It did.
Are you surprised?
No, not at all. If it hit April, I'd be a little bit more surprised, but not necessarily now, especially in Kenosha. I heard it got really bad up here yesterday, so
yeah.
Fortunately enough, the game was today.
Yeah, at least they were able to clear the field very well.
And you didn't have classes, so another win.
Yes, very much so.
1-0 your score. Just about 4.5 minutes in. Looking at where Hope has been this year, They won 2 out of their last 3, but recently lost to Colorado College 9-7. However, on the flip side, Firebirds absolutely finding themselves offensively. 17 against Concordia, Wisconsin. 14 against Dubuque. 10 against Lake Forest. So 3 in a row for the Firebirds. Some players that Hope really needs to step up on the offensive side. Michael Mann, Gibson Heathis, and Sam Bowen, your 3 leading scorers. Jack Baumforth in goal today. Started 7 out of the 8 contests. 98 saves. So we'll have to see if that registered as an official save to inch his way closer to 100. Well, just like that, Hope offensively on the ground and not happy with the result is Andrew Fry. We talked about Fry having not played this last game. Comes in, and just like that, Hope.
Yeah, you know, Peter, this is pretty much what these teams do, is they come out super hot and fire right away and take a lot of shots. And it works well for them because it's 1-1 and it's only been 5 minutes, so I have a feeling this will be a very high-scoring game today.
Ground ball. Did you ever have to play with a different color ball because of the weather?
No, but I will say the orange ball is a lot easier to see, so I do like when they play with the orange ball.
Yes, that is helpful. And again, it's easier for us in the booth because, you know, we need everything to go in our favor. But with that being said, you know, if you're playing on the field right now and you still have the snow-covered ground, especially, you know, on the ends of the field, on your left and right side, the north and south side of Art Keller Field, you know, if you're trying to pass that, it's a white ball in white snow, and that just doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure they appreciate switching the color today to work in their favor.
Packed day of NCAA athletics here at Carthage. Women's playing later this afternoon. Men's volleyball, alumni day there, so hope you're ready for a fun-filled day of Carthage athletics. And you can see some of the snow starting to melt, so when it one-hopped over at the starting line for the track, it just a huge puddle bounced up. Did you ever run track and field? I don't know if we've talked about this.
No, well, I might have in like 6th grade. I think I
Okay.
did shot put, but I'm not much of a runner, Peter.
Got it. I was going to say, if people
Unless
don't
it's
know
on
what
the lacrosse field, of
Sure,
course.
I would say if people don't know what you look like, surely you're a shot putter. I mean, I have no clue. All I know is I don't know if it was shot put or hammer throw, but I saw recently the young woman who won the NCAA championship for that, and my goodness, the upper body strength, it has to do that. And again, you being a personal trainer on the side, the core strength as well, and the legs. It starts low and goes up,
Yeah,
right?
it's everything. It takes a lot, for sure.
In the cage once again is Luke Bloomer, a true freshman, stepping in and having such a stellar start to the year. And you don't want to say hiccups because you're not going to have a scoreless game. If it happens, I've never called one in lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
You've had some that are close to 1 or 2 goals, but again, regardless of the skill level, the perfect shot can't be stopped. Those were all of your shots back in high school, right? All were the perfect shot.
Oh, absolutely.
Hit from behind. Trying to find a lane to the right side. Back at X. They are playing, and we'll talk about it more after this sequence. Turn around on the box and roll shot, no good. That'll stay with Hope College. It's a very unique offensive attack. If you want to talk us through it, Jill, where, I mean, there's an attacker a foot outside the back of the net, back at X. I mean, that's the closest I've seen somebody play this season.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just because they want to be able to score super quick and not waste time and potentially have the ball stealing from them. They want to be able to fire and try to get a goal as soon as they can and as quick as possible. And both these teams like to take a lot of shots. Like I said earlier, Hope has taken 146. Or sorry, excuse me. They've taken over 300, and so has Carthage. So they both just are very, very offensive heavy, and they aren't afraid to take shots.
The low to high shot is Hope. Hope really doing a stellar job with their time of possession so far. Again, that's something you and I have seen in the home games thus far this season for the Firebirds.
Yeah.
So seeing how they adjust, set the shot clock. Appreciate you being with us all on this Saturday afternoon. Bit warmer than yesterday, it seems. You know, yesterday I don't mean to sound like an infant, but it was cold, and it got colder. And then it snowed, and then it blustered, and it just got blustier, so.
Yeah, you know, we only had a few warm days, but
yeah.
Hopefully more to come soon, considering it's almost April.
Dodging to the inside, looking for an outlet pass, finding it back at X. There's a good lane, there's the bounce shot. Felt it happening the whole way. Alec Gurn delivers the goal. The 6'1" senior out of St. Viator High School. The go-ahead goal for the Firebirds, up 2-1.
Yeah, you know, we usually see a lot from Alec Gurn. I mean, coming into this game, he had 21 goals on the season. He's their second leading scorer for Carthage, so he's a big part of this offense as well.
Well, and something you and I have spoken about, you know, you had Birchfield, you had Gurn, and you're just going kind of 1 and 2, but Birchfield, that game, you already mentioned it prior, just absolutely
historic.
Took the world by storm.
Yeah.
You know, for those that didn't watch, go back and watch the replay. Jill and I couldn't even get a sentence out. Maybe that was the plan. These two talk too much. Let's just get some goals.
Yeah, that game just went back and forth with who was scoring. So it was a fun game, but I have a feeling we might see a little bit of that today.
Yeah, there's a chance. There is absolutely a chance. If we look at the Hope numbers, minus this, they had 3 games in single digits, a win versus Oberlin, 9-8, Lake Forest, a 9-8 loss. So how about that back-to-back? Winning 9-8, losing 9-8. Well, right now that's goal number 3. Firebirds go long range on, Andrew Fry. That's 20-plus yards out. Again, utilizing the numbers on the hash. And just like that, Andrew Fry, the Fry guy, adds another one for the Firebirds. You saw the equalizer by Hope, and you said, okay, this might be closer, but let's talk quickly on what Hope has to do defensively. Again, that was a long-range shot and a yard sale. Losing the stick is Chad Coleman, as the stick's just going to rest right where the face-off marker is. You never lost your stick, though, right, Jill?
No, I haven't. And
okay, good.
Yeah, that was just glued into my hands. Never had to lose it. But, you know, as for defense for Hope College, I think they really need to try to get some more turnovers in this game because of how good Carthage's offense is, you're going to need to be able to get the ball from them. So coming into this game, they caused 83 turnovers. So, you know, that's a relatively high number. So I'm hoping that we can see a few from Hope College today.
That works. Already under 4 minutes in the first, a quick-paced first quarter here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Jill Ryczek, former IHSA player. Here's truly Peter Ferreri bringing you the action. Dodging around, point blank! The bouncer, the grounder in. Just awesome job looking it off, finding the goal. Is going to be Gibson, able to come away with it. And again, not much you could do against that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the offense, Gibson is their second leading scorer. He has 16 coming into this game, so make that 17 now. But he's a big part of their offense as well, and we're going to see a lot from him today.
Yeah, the freshman out of Hudsonville, Michigan. Michigan and Ohio are two of the biggest growing states in terms of participation of lacrosse. So just venture to see more and more players coming out of that eastern Midwest area. You know, you've told stories, Jill, about, you know, your tenure learning this game, how early on, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to find enough people to play a game.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's nice to see that it's growing. That makes me happy as a former lacrosse player, and, you know, coming into the sport where it wasn't very well known, and now that it's becoming more known and more popular, it's nice to see.
Oh, I say in jest all the time that, you know, my alma mater at the high school level has a lacrosse team now, but I didn't even know what it was when I started my high school career. We didn't have a team, and I heard somebody else talk about it, one of my friends that lived, you know, in a different area of the Chicagoland, and I'm like, oh, what? You know, it's before it was, you know, televised and streamed, and so, you know, it's great to see such a growing sport.
Yeah, you know, you didn't know what it was at one point, and now you're calling the game,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool.
Oh, and you know, you and I have had this discussion off air, but truly one of my favorite sports to broadcast, and, you know, you just see the passion it takes to be successful at the game, and
yeah, it's just such a physical game, and it's super entertaining to watch, especially because it's a offense-heavy sport, and, you know, it's fun to see people go down and score and have these celebrations and fun, so it's very exciting.
So Birchfield picked up the ground ball, but immediately the whistle goes in the opposite direction. Hope with the chance to find the equalizer now. Point blank again. Dodges back in, looks for the quick pass on the ground. Oh, good job. On the ground again. I had thought, to my mistake, that Flores had come up with it. He did not. And finally, Georgie Birchfield comes away with possession. And now with a minute 35, looks like the Firebirds on the near side, number 40 Alec Gurn, will want to take as much of this shot clock away before finding the shot.
This has been a very fast-paced first period.
Well, they knew that you were going to start the broadcast today, and they said, okay, we got to make it as fast as possible for Jill. No slowing down, no timeouts.
Or maybe they're just cold out there, so they want to get it going as quick as possible.
Wouldn't doubt it. You know, this is one of those scenarios where walking in today, a lot of fans, you know, just trying to get a seat in the sun.
Yeah.
You know, there's a nice VIP area toward the south end of the end zone too. So our left inside, you're a student here, so you know where you can like sit with, you know, ceiling to floor windows and watch the game. So
Yeah, they have
I am
a pool
sure,
table, foosball, they got it going on.
I am sure that is lined up with spectators as well. 33 degrees by my account today, but again, lacrosse, you playing it all. At least when you look at the wind, not too bad. 13 seconds left, down to 10. Ground ball. Hope picks it up, but flicks up in the air. Off to the right, pass down. With 2, with 1, chance for a shot, knocked away by Bloomer. And that's going to end period number 1. Firebirds were up 3-1. Hope found their second goal to go within 1. We'll take a timeout when we come back. Quarter number 2 action on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
2.
back, quarter number 2. Tough face-off. Hope really coming on strong in that face-off scenario. And if you look at it, they are only a 7 face-off advantage, but I think that says a lot that even with a 4-3 record, they still are on the plus side of face-offs, and we saw it right there. And Jill, what makes, Hope's face-off so successful?
Yeah, they just have a strong control when they're able to get the ball up and it just goes right to their team. They must practice that all the time, and communication is a big part of that because you have to know where your guys are and that self-awareness of, if the ball's coming up, who's going to be able to get it. And 89 to 82, so they have a great record, and Carthage is pretty much even because they're 108 for 105. So they both are on the winning end of that, and they're both very strong on the draw. So it's interesting to see the matchup in the circle. So
that's going to go out of play. Again, for those just joining in, appreciate you being with us this Saturday afternoon. 3-2. Your score, Carthage quick goal at the onset of the game. Hope answered back. Carthage added 2 on. Hope came within 1. Doubleheader today, men's and women's lacrosse, and then also men's volleyball. So a packed Firebird afternoon of action.
good thing we got here early so we can get a parking spot.
Shots fired, Jill. Shots fired. No, I actually got a good parking spot today. I was excited about that. And, with so much action, I would say potentially there's not high school track meets happening.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's such a huge facility here, and so much going on. Such a staple of the community. That went off the side of the pipe, reset. I believe it hit the bottom of the pipe, but nonetheless is going to go in Hope's direction. Goals so far, number 10, Sean Cunningham. And for Hope, as well as number 12, Gibson Heathis. For the Firebirds, Croc, Gurn, Fry, the one-syllable assassins. Back to X they go. They really set up that offense. Starting back at X, and they had about 4 players of their teammates. So it's an interesting, I wish we had, that'll be the next step that Carthage gets is a telestrator. So we'll have you, mark up the screen for everybody. But the reason I say that is it was an interesting setup. You had a player back at X, then you had 4 players on what the football field line is at the 20. And when he made a move, all 4 started moving in a different direction. I mean, that's going to cause fits for the defense. One-handed cradle, looking for action. Good defense by the Firebirds. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Hope's got to get one off.
Yeah, Peter, we always talk about how good the Carthage offense is, but their defense is just as strong. They don't really allow their opponents to go on a very high-scoring run, so props to the defense for staying strong and not letting them do much on offense.
Well, if we look at where things were a few days ago, again, that victory for Carthage over Concordia, Wisconsin, the final 17-12, but it was a secure 5-6 goal lead for a lot of the point in the end, and Concordia only had 9 goals until the last few minutes, and if you recall, Concordia rattled off 3 goals in a row, to try to get within striking distance before the Firebirds just put away. So here's our first time out. Hope College will take it. 11:02 on the clock. We'll take it with them. We'll be back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. we're back. I was just feeling Creed so much that I, wanted to let Scott Stapp get his, final words and Turner, hits the crossbar. And beautiful save by the cage. Jill, that has to be, and again, it's not something I can attest to, but it has to be so frustrating to hit the pipe, as that's a beautiful save by Bloomer.
Yeah, what's funny is you always seem to hit the pipe when you're not actually aiming for the pipe, but like in practice, when you have these drills where you're aiming for the pipe specifically to practice your shot, you can never hit it, but it's always on accident.
Now, when I want to expound on that. When you talk about practicing for the pipes, is it coach wants specific parts of the pipe aimed for, based on where the goalie is, or how does that happen in a practice?
Yeah, well, it's mainly just to practice your shot and knowing how to aim your shot. So, because of course you never want to hit the pipe in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just mainly to practice. You know where the ball's going and you can control it.
Birchfield all over the field. It's got to be, well, I'll put it two ways. Again, Hope trails 3-2. Pass over. Nice job reading the lane. That was right into the stick.
Yeah, that was a great read. He just got right in front of it, and he knew where that ball was going.
Pass in. Down to the left. No good. And we'll triculate and hope we're able to pick it up. So the question I was going to ask, when you have a player like Birchfield, let's say it's one of your former teammates, pro of him being on the team is, or in your case, a player like her being on the team and being so good, that's got to be a confidence boost. But how do you work as the teammates of said great player to make sure when your number is called, you're ready?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just looking up to the player and seeing what makes them so good, so you can, I don't want to say copy them, but you can just get inspired by them and see, okay, this player is so good because of X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to try to replicate that and be as good as them. And yeah, it's a huge confidence boost for sure, because again, it's just super inspirational to look up to a player like that and have them on your team.
Did you play on artificial turf or grass?
It was artificial turf.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had to play a few games on grass if it was an away game, but we had turf at home, so.
Was it a multi-purpose field like soccer and lacrosse? Shot up, nice save again.
Yeah, it was football, soccer, lacrosse, and I think that was it.
Everything.
Everything,
Got
yeah.
it. Well, I know some schools have, a soccer field that they use for lacrosse separate than the football field, or the football practice field is the soccer field.
Yeah, I mean, turf is always great until you take off your shoe and there's just all the turf at the bottom of it.
The pellets.
Yep.
Who doesn't love the pellets? I had the opportunity to call not too far up the road from here, a Marquette women's lacrosse game last weekend, and in order to get to the press area, they allow you to walk across the field, and by the time I got to the press area, I said, this is how it feels. Okay. Got it. Spin around, tough defense, kicked away by Bloomer. So it's one official save right now for number 29 Baumforth, so he's now at 99, one away from that 100 mark. 6:45 remaining until half, an absolute rugby scrum. So when you're in a scrum like this, how do you, coming away with it there is Andon Rieger. What do? Do you be patient and see if it, matriculates out of the pile? Do you go in stick first and just go for broke?
Yeah, honestly, when it gets to the point where there's just so many people, if you can't get the ball right away, I like to just back away and let just one teammate go after it, because too much otherwise.
Yeah, well, right now, Hope too much on the offensive side with that outstanding shot. And tying it up for Hope is number 23, Freddie Koplow, the junior out of Traverse City, Michigan. And just like that, that 3-1 lead for the Firebirds has gone away. And we're tied at 3 apiece. And what we have expected more recently being a offensive onslaught for the Firebirds kind of slowed down midway through the first.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Hope's doing a great job on defense, and if you're their offense, you have to be able to keep it even and keep up with the Carthage offense just because of how explosive they are. So they're doing a great job. It's 3-3 now, so they got to stick with them.
So Hope went for another shot, couldn't find it. Shout out to the camera crew and photographers out on the field today. Again, they just brave all the elements to bring you this content and all the great action and photos you see on the website and social media, and we are up here in a nice warm booth.
Yes.
Pass in and goal! What an outstanding look at the run. The assist, Sam Bowen, and he just stood back about 15 yards away off to the right and saw a streaking teammate nobody had marked, and just like that, Hope on a 3-0 run. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty unlikely for Carthage. They're usually the ones on the other end of that who's just going on these scoring runs, but Hope's sticking with them today.
Carthage answers back within 5 seconds.
Peter, I think I'm starting to have some deja vu from Wednesday night.
Well, that's why I just waited. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, you saw right away when they take the draw, and he got it. He just marched right down the field, one quick pass, and a decently far away shot, and that's what you need to be able to score within, 10 seconds?
If that, yeah. I'll have to send you the clip after this game that I was calling, and here's another timeout. So we'll have story time in the booth right after this on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. For 4, your score on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. 10 seconds is all it took for the Firebirds to find their equalizer. For Joe Ryczek and Peter Ferreri. So the story time was, I was calling an NCAA tournament game, a Sweet 16 matchup 2 years ago. After the opening face-off, I am still doing introductions to the game, setting the scene, and the team that won the face-off scored in the first 12 seconds of the entire game. And so that's one of my favorite clips because I'm like, welcome to this stadium here on this network, and goal scored. Welcome in, everybody.
That's a nice way to open it.
Oh, it sure is. It sure is. Yeah, that's one I clipped out and saved because that's fun to just have. Oh, look at that passing!
That was a clean shot.
Talk to me through right now, Jill, because after the quick timeout, it's not that Carthage is not necessarily keeping up. It's Hope. The passing, we can't even keep up in the booth. It's so crisp.
Yeah, I mean, that catch right here on the 50-yard line, I don't know if you saw it, Peter, but he was able to catch it, and then he just twisted. He did a little spin with his wrist, and he twisted his stick. And that was just cool to watch. But regardless, he made a pass, and then I think there was one more pass, and just a perfect shot on goal, and it had the goalie just tripped. And
what are you going to do?
Yeah. And that was just a beautiful shot. That was a really nice play.
That just shows you, for those that don't know, the level of skill for these two teams. Never discredit these conferences because they are so, so good. Andrew Fry along with Sam Wallace in the game. Johnny Lane on the offensive. Alec Gurn in the lineup. As Lane steps off and Birchfield tries to set things up on the offensive. George Birchfield out of Makina, Illinois. Dodge off to the left, thought about the pass, nothing there. Resettling, 33 seconds on the shot clock. 3:40 until half. Oh my goodness! Ben Kroc, you weren't going to stop him. He wanted that shot 2 minutes ago, it seemed.
Yeah, you could totally tell that. And was that top left?
Top left corner.
Left. Beautiful positioning, nice and quick pass. That was another great play. And it's only been, what, a minute since the other one was scored? Wow.
Why is it so hard to defend those long-range shots, Joe?
I think it's just because you're not prepared for it. Because you're like, they're so far away, they're not going to take the shot.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get set and expect that goal. So I think it's just how quick it is, and it's just hard to stop.
Just like that, another face-off one by the Firebirds. Hope Athletics, part of the MIAA conference. Firebirds, of course, part of the CCIW. Running out to right, that's where he took his last shot that was successful. Looks like they're giving him some isolation as well. Gurn passes back to X, under 3 remaining. Tied at 5. Around. Hope playing his tight defense right now. Back to X. Here could be the opportunity. The spin. The turnaround. The grounder and the save. There it is. Save number 100 on the season for one Jack Baumforth.
100 saves is impressive by itself, but that single save was impressive too. That was a full body save. He had to get low and fall to the ground to be able to save that one.
The orange and blue now looking to do something on the offensive. Back and forth battle. Not to say we didn't expect it, but we know when it's non-conference play, it's hard to have any sort of expectations. 2 games ago against Lake Forest, Firebirds were 2-3 on the season. They rattled off 3 in a row.
Yep. And they're still undefeated at home.
Well, they say, if Jill's on the call, we have to win.
do they say that?
That's what I heard. I don't know who I heard it from, but. So 55 seconds on the clock. We have a stoppage. Sure with this. I don't see a player down. Jill, not sure if you see anything, but
no, sometimes it's hard to see what's going on up here when there's really no signals and no players giving something away. So
dodging in and knocked away at the last moment. Good job by Bloomer. As I was discussing with you off the air, but yesterday I had the opportunity to call a college baseball game in a similar situation at the end of the game where all of a sudden the players just went back to the dugouts and, you're in the booth. You don't know why. There's no hand signal that necessarily says, like, okay, here's what's happening. So long story short, that one just got delayed until today because the pitcher could not see home plate because of the snow and the storm.
Yeah, that must be so frustrating when, you get all hyped for one game and then you just have to stop it and try to get that momentum back the next.
Well, and that's again, one of the things I love about lacrosse. They would have kept playing.
Right.
No, you play.
Yep.
I have called games here at beautiful Art Keller Field in absolute monsoon-like conditions.
Yep.
And they play on.
Unless there's lightning.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Anything else, you're playing.
Holding a lacrosse stick and lightning, unless you're doing the old school wood sticks. Have you ever played or practiced or held one of the vintage wood sticks?
No, I have not. But now that you say it, I want to.
Yeah, because of course the history of lacrosse, a Native American sport. That's why the Heisman version for lacrosse is called the Tewartin Award.
Oh, the more you know.
And the game was originated by Native Americans as their fun sport pastime, and they would make the stick out of wood and the netting out of the strings from the trees. And history lesson concluded. It's halftime. Your score: 5 for Hope, 5 for Carthage. Who will get the tiebreaker and come away victorious? We'll find out on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. And welcome back to the Firebird Broadcast Network. Peter Ferreri alongside Jill Ryczek. And making a quick run. Shot and goal. I learned to pause when you have the offense of these two teams. Caden Brainerd out of Muskegon, Michigan, able to deliver.
I just closed the door, and before I could even sit down, there was already a goal.
Well, it's like in the first quarter, before I closed the door and you're talking, they scored. So it's the door. It's the jinx of the door. But again, just pouring it on. I was going to ask, we can still talk about it, but let's wait for somebody to have possession for more than 12 seconds.
Yeah, you just have to.
All right, so Carthage comes away with it. Oh, misguided pass. Not happy with it is Smilanik. And just like that, Hope with a chance to extend their one-goal lead. Spin. Oh, it just loses the handle. Good job defensively. Stepping into the lane is Rocco Paddock. Ooh, and we're going to have a violation.
First one of the day, I think.
Yeah, it's been a very clean game.
Yeah.
I mean, no nicks and bruises, no, over-aggression that's caused that. So it'll be the first one. And it'll be on Hope for when Carthage loses their possession. But I guess while we have a moment now, Jill, looking at those first half stats, what stands out to you?
Yeah, so I mean, a big thing is the turnovers. Carthage has 15 just from the first half, and Hope had 7. So, that might be why it's 6-5 right now, but otherwise it's pretty even, it looks like. Face-offs, Carthage has won 8 and Hope has won 6. So, it's pretty even, and they're both taking a decent amount of shots, but Hope has taken 23 and Carthage with 11. So Hope is taking a lot more shots. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Carthage try to match that and take a lot more.
Well, and it's something you always mention, Jill, is why that's so important. I mean, that's usually the Carthage game.
Right. We
will shoot more. We will just, like 52 shots the other day. Or was it 57? I can't recall exactly, but...
Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
50-plus shots. It's hard to stop all of them. It's impossible.
Yeah, and, I can't help but think that since Carthage isn't really playing how they normally play, I can't help but think that might have an effect on the outcome of this game today. Because when you're not playing how you normally play, you're uncomfortable, and it's just different, and, you're not used to playing like that, so.
Nice save by Jack Baumforth. Over 100 now. Opportunity missed for the Firebirds with 25 seconds remaining on that shot clock. You know, goalies always in the defense, the unsung heroes of games. You know, you always look at where the numbers come from. It's the offense, and that's why I always like to credit the middies, credit the defenders. I was talking to a soccer athlete yesterday, and I said, you know, do you prefer the defense, the attack? Where do you like to be on the field? And she said, I like to run, so put me in the mid. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, you can't be a midi if you don't like to run.
Bounces away. Bloomer saying he didn't touch it, but they're still giving possession to Hope, so clearly there was contact. Yeah, Carthage really has been on their heels today. And it's not something you and I have seen. Oh, beautiful save by Bloomer. Point blank. I think it's a situation where there's only so many times you can go to the well of that, okay, we're going to stand back and X and make a run and just shoot. He's starting to recognize that offensive attack. Penalty has expired. Both teams full strength. Birchfield now passes off one time, looks for the flick in, loses possession. Birchfield picks it back up, passes to the near side, and albeit crisp passing offensively for the Firebirds, the Flying Dutchman able to stop any quality look so far. Birchfield rolls. Near side, there's a lane, losing possession, knocked from behind, no whistle. Firebirds keep possession with 30 seconds. And it's not that the Dutchmen are being overly physical. They're being just physical enough to make the Firebirds think twice. And there's that ill-guided pass. Ian Edwards tries to take a swipe at it. Another player hits the ground, and they're giving the possession to Hope. Another goal by the Dutchman. Number 22, John Foster. So a defenseman gets on the board.
You don't see that too often.
No, that is his second goal on the season. Hope now with a 2-goal lead against the Firebirds. And again, it is just, Hope right now is taking the shots. Carthage is waiting for the best shot. I'm not saying that's a poor mentality to take, but right now Hope is just rapid fire and hoping it goes where it needs to. Again, when you look at Hope's numbers, we discussed it earlier. 4 out of their 7 games only scoring in single digits. 8, 9, 8, and 7. And 7 was against Colorado College just a few days ago. And by a few days ago, I mean 48 hours ago. Bounce shot, no good. That'll stay with the Firebirds. A little bit of a nudge. Good defense once again by Hope, not allowing anything. Hitting the ground, yard sale. That's going to be a penalty for slashing. So Johnny Lane got double teamed, and just a bit too much behind it was Marco Malorni out of Detroit Central Catholic High School. So it'll be another man-up situation for the Firebirds.
Yeah, I think they really need to take advantage of this while they have that minute penalty in the man-up situation. You know, you're down by 2, and it's normally the opposite. They're normally up, especially at home. They normally have the advantage. They normally are higher than their opponents in certain categories, like the ground balls. But right now, Hope has 24 and Carthage with 17. So this is a little unusual for Carthage. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Andrew Fry looked for the ground ball shot to no avail. Plenty of time for the Firebirds to get another shot off. They haven't been able to get close at all today. Most of their shots have been long range. Fry goes again. 25 seconds and counting remaining on the penalty. So 2 shots. So Carthage now taking the mantra of hope. Just keep shooting. Left side, nothing there. Once more staying the way of the Firebirds. So 30 seconds on the shot clock, but only 10 on the player-up advantage.
You got to give credit to Hope's defense because they are not letting Carthage get within 10 yards. So they're keeping them far out. They're keeping them spread out. So they're doing well.
Teams are even. Pass in and once again snuffed out and taken away by Hope. What a defensive stand. Hope not allowing anything close. All of them are off the mark. Not even a registered save by Baumforth. So 8:15 remaining in the third. Firebirds not having much going here in quarter number 3. It was 3-2 Firebirds advantage at the end of 1. They scored 2 in the second, scoreless in the third. A steady as they go ship for Hope, pun intended. 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the third. Kick save by Bloomer. And that's the other thing is not only is Hope out shooting Carthage, their shots are much more on the mark.
Yeah. But Carthage does have 12 saves. So that's a nice
Wild
number for a Firebird. So, and Hope's only with 2 saves. So
spinning around Bloomer again, snuffing out that run from X. Firebirds far from out of this contest. And absolutely leveled. No whistle going to be called. Britton Stanton, helmet off. Very slow to get up, so let's make sure he's okay, but no penalty called. Hope now trying to extend the lead to 3. 2 goals, biggest lead of the afternoon for either team. So clock has stopped with 6:37. We have a substitution. Keep you afloat, but for 15, Britton Stanton, the freshman out of Gilbert, Arizona, still being tended to on the sideline. That was a vicious hit. You know, again, rules different in the men's and women's games in terms of that physical contact. Women's game adding the green card this year just for situations like that. But, you know, Jill has to be hard regardless of the men or women's game when, you know, it's that contact at the midfield. And again, you played during the time where there wasn't a green card, but a goal scored. Freddie Koplow out of Traverse City, St. Francis, and there indeed is that 3-goal lead for the visiting Dutchman.
But yeah, Peter, I mean, this game is just so physical, and you have to be a physical player in order to succeed, but it's just hard to sometimes control how physical you're being, and just sometimes a little bit is too much, so.
Yeah. And wouldn't be surprised if that ended the day for Stanton. Safety first always, especially at the non-conference time of season. Yes, it helps with, you know, potential postseason implications, but nonetheless, you want to keep players safe. So 5-8 your score. It is a 3-0 run in the third. Let's see once again if the Firebirds can bounce back. Looking back at the scoring plays, Firebirds scored the equalizer with 3:30 remaining in the second. And then 12 seconds into the second half, Hope scored the first one. You and I said in jest we expected a lot of quick scoring, but it's been all Hope in the third. as we are now 10 minutes into the third. 3 goals scored for Hope, up by 3. Long range, nice save again by Baumforth.
Peter, I don't necessarily think the long shots are working for Carthage right now. So I think if you're Carthage, you got to just try your hardest to get at least a little bit closer in order to take that shot and hope for it to go in.
And I think as well the Firebirds, like you mentioned, maybe take the shot, be a bit physical, closer to net. I mean, they are all not close to the pipes right now. They're aiming high to low. Now, I did hear during, and you can expound on this, but I did hear, it affects both teams, of course, but there was said during halftime that conditions very slick right now with the melting snow on the field turf. What do you have to do then to maintain your composure in slick and slippery conditions?
I mean, there's not much you can do when it's how the field is. I mean, it's not fun to play in because you're just slipping and sliding everywhere, but you just have to make sure that your lacrosse skills are still good no matter what. Even if you're slipping, you still have to be able to make these clean passes and be able to catch the ball. And it makes ground balls harder too, so it does make it a little more tougher, but you still just got to play your game.
Yeah, it was slippery walking up the steps today. I'm like, I'm going to hold the railing.
Yeah, I'm in heels, so it might have been a bad day to wear some heels.
That's okay. Hey, you live your life.
I had to grip the railing a little
bit.
Yeah,
me too. I took one step and said, this ice has not melted. I'm going to take my time. Spinning around. 3:20 remaining. Freddie Koplow. Quick pass to McCreary. Dave Brace now with the shot. Yeah, it seems to be the trend for Hope. They keep a player back at X. If they're on the point, they make that dashing run to the right. If it's nothing there, they pivot, turn around, and it resets up the offense. 2 players back at X now.
I mean, with having multiple guys on X, that you can just see by reading the field that they're just saying, hey, we want to score, we're going to score. We're not going to stop until we get another goal, so.
Well, Carthage has done nothing necessarily at the point to detract Hope from going for that setup. And if you start putting too many defenders back at X, well, then that leaves the other side open. But at least they're stopping that X attack right now, which was so effective early on for the Dutchman. 2:30 remains. There's that physicality. Pass inside, but getting in the lane was Luke Bloomer. Yeah, and that's exactly what we talked about. Bloomer has not allowed that to happen in this second half. Not to say per se that goals haven't happened, but those point-blank ones from X have come to a halt. Looking at the save numbers now. 14 saves out of 34 shots for Carthage. Under 2. The turnaround. And Hope now setting up and likely to use the remainder of quarter number 3. It is not often when you see the Firebirds run scoreless and an entire quarter. Work to do in the third should the score remain a 3-goal deficit. A fast game this afternoon. My goodness.
It really has been. And like we said before, I have a feeling that, because it's so cool outside, they're just like, we just want to get this going and get it over with. So it's not really fun to play in freezing cold.
Well, especially on the women's side, no headgear. Did you wear gloves? Because you're allowed to wear, just seasonal gloves, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I did wear some gloves at one point. I don't want to say that it helped me, but it just makes catching and passing a little bit easier. Just because you can have the sticky gloves too, so.
Okay.
It's a little better.
Sure. for the one-hand scoop. An interesting attempt by Gurn, but again, Firebirds trying anything. 22 seconds remain. Having to work fast is Johnny Lane.
I mean, they're trying so hard to score. They're taking these shots. They're getting a little bit closer, but it just won't go in, and that's got to be frustrating for them.
10 seconds, and that's a nice save. Trying to go coast to coast. Stopped. Grounder hits the pipe. Hope almost went up 4 with moments remaining in the third, and so Bloomer can thank the near side pipe as he's slow to get up. 5-8 your score, the Dutchman. Few minutes away from a potential victory here in Kenosha. We'll be back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Fourth and final frame on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Joe Ryczek, Peter Ferreri. Firebirds coming away with a face-off, losing it there, but picking it right back up. Joe, let's talk through what Hope has to do. They have pressed all the right buttons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their offense is just as good as their defense right now. It's super unheard of for Carthage to go this long without scoring. An entire period they did not score a single goal, and it's not like it's an offensive problem because they are an elite offense. So it's all Hope's defense, and they're just playing really, really well, and they're not letting him get close.
There you go. Birchfield, he says, you know what, long range. We talked about him earlier in the game, said, I'll put you on my back, as we have a fan running with the Lacrosse flag, and the Firebirds backed within 2.
Birchfield. Assisted by number 30.
That's fun.
That is fun.
So George Birchfield, 33 seconds into the fourth. And again, we spoke about it earlier, having a leader like George to be able to say, okay, let's do this. That has been the one opportunity, I guess you could say, for the Firebirds is going short side, non-stick side against Balmforth from a distance. Not able to shift the body or the stick over in time. Also, there's something on the field at about the 26-yard line. Not sure if it's a shoe, a glove.
A hat, yeah.
Could be a hat. Oh, running near side. Had the short side opportunity. Trying to catch and go. Couldn't keep the grasp on it. Is Andrew Fry. And again, that's just getting your wheels underneath you again from having some time away. And that could as well be the slick conditions. You know, you're used to catching and firing, but that little bit of slickness. Hope answers back from way downtown, number 22 again. John Foster, his third goal of the season now. And when you have a defenseman not afraid to take a shot from 40 yards out, looks like everything's coming up Hope. 37-24, the shot differential. Hope inside, outside, left, right, near, and far. Everything is coming up for the Dutchman right now. Lead back to 3. And I think it needs to be said, it is not just that Carthage hasn't been able to find the goals. It is the defense of Hope has just absolutely stopped anything close for the Firebirds.
Yeah.
Keeping it on the ground far side. You kind of felt the momentum with that Birchfield goal. All right, could that go back in the way of the Firebirds? Hope very quickly shuttered that momentum.
Yeah, and it's not to say that Carthage hasn't been challenged by a good defense this season. It's just that their offense has been able to find ways, regardless of the defense that they're playing, to be able to make something on offense. But just this Hope defense is just something that they haven't had a big challenge with so far. So they're trying their hardest, but they just can't figure it out yet.
The lowest scoring affair for the Firebirds this year was 9 goals in a 10-9 loss against Sewanee. And they are it's just not happening for them right now. No easier way to put it. Spinning around, might have hit the pipe, but nonetheless going to stay with the Firebirds. Still plenty of time to score 3 goals, but easier said than done against this Hope defense. And it's not a situation where, Hope's putting 15-20 on the board. Here goes Birchfield. Let's see if the Firebirds can muster something up. Looks for the spin-around grounder, and that's going to go the way of Hope. Good run out by the Dutchman. Looking at their game against Colorado, I think this bears mentioning for Hope. They ended that game with 45 shots. So they are all for shoot. Yeah. But again, it was a diversified attempt. Heathis with 2 goals, but then 1 for Bellotti, Warango, and Bowen each with 1 apiece. And those are players, we haven't even necessarily said their names today. And I did get word that Stanton did make his way back to the locker room, so we can consider his day done. Hope he will be okay.
Yeah, Carthage hasn't had it easy so far this season. They've had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
But just last week against Concordia, they only had 2 of their normal starters playing.
Sure.
4 out of 6 of their offensive starters were out. So, and they were still able to win.
Hope finds another one. Bloomer getting frustrated. A 4-goal lead for Hope, and having a discussion with Coach David Neff earlier in the season, he said there are games, of course, where, Gartner and Williamson got some reps, and he said, with a freshman, I just don't want him to lose so much confidence early in the season in the non-con schedule. So, not sure if it's 1 or 2 more goals might be that mark for Hope. 4 goals is still in striking distance. But right now, a tall task for the offense of the Firebirds. And to note as well, if you look at Hope, if you take away the first quarter against Colorado College, they trailed 5-1 after 1. They then outscored Colorado 6-4 from the second through the fourth, just couldn't come back in time. So starting with the second quarter of their last game to now, they've just slowly but surely 2 or 3 goals a quarter, but not allowed much at all.
Yeah, and I think that's just what happens over time is you find what works for your team and what clicks, and you just keep doing it and you capitalize off it. And they just know what they're doing now. So they're putting up a big challenge for Carthage.
10-6. And again, so many things fairly even, but again, just to point out a number that you mentioned earlier, the turnovers, 20 turnovers for Carthage, only 9 for Hope. And when you get an additional 11 possessions, that's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Hope looking to extend the lead and utilize as much of the shot clock as possible. 14 on the shot clock. Spinning, shooting, going high. 9 seconds will remain. Hope potentially has another chance. Setting up at X. The spin, the turn, the shot. Bloomer saves. Firebirds need a goal, and they need it now.
I mean, 9.5 minutes is plenty of time for Carthage to score 4 and at least tie it up before the end of this.
Sure, so Jill now potentially predicting overtime. It could happen. Absolutely.
It very well could happen.
Birchfield tries to go low, snuffing it out as Balmforth. And again, it hasn't necessarily been that the Firebirds have these errant shots. I mean, but they are just a foot wide to the left or right.
I almost think that despite Carthage taking these farther shots, it's almost taking them a little bit longer to wind up for the shot. And, and Hope's goalie's just able to read that ahead of time, and he knows where that ball's going to go. So that's how he's been able to make so many saves and keep them to only 6 goals.
And I think something else to keep in mind, we talked about the slippery conditions. If you can't get the footing right, or it takes an extra step to set up where you need to secure that when you launch, your back foot is secure, that's that split second that allows the goalie to get in a better position, but it's also that split second that you might overshoot.
Right. And when you're facing such a good defense like Hope in these slippery conditions.
Oh, another goal. Number 11, Sam Bowen, the junior, out of Forest Hills Eastern. 5-goal lead for Hope. And boy, oh boy, it is all Hope in the second half. A 6-1 difference in half number 2. As we stated a few minutes ago, and it makes it seem like it's longer, but truly a few minutes ago, Birchfield brought him back to within 2, and you said, okay, could that be the run for the Firebirds? And Hope just immediately replied.
And shut it down.
And shut it down. Looking for another shot. That one bouncing, running it down. That might be Carthage's possession, and indeed it is. It's going to stay with the Firebirds. Oh, excuse me, it's going to stay with Hope. My apologies. And now looking at under 8 minutes and a 5-goal lead. Now it's getting tough. Bit of physicality there by Smilanik, but nonetheless, Firebirds play on. Making a run up to the near side, Flores. Cuts back to the middle. Near side now for Westland. Firebirds getting their offensive subs into play. Here comes Birchfield. Near side now making a run. That's been one of the strengths for the Firebirds. Reading it out. Balmforth, he felt that coming a mile away. Hitting the ground, making an effort was Gurn, and again, just a little bit of frustration. A lot of physical contact now by the Firebirds. And timeout going to be called by Hope. We'll see if substitutions come in under 7. Hope has 63 seconds and a 5-goal lead. We'll be back on Firebird Broadcasting Network. 11-6 your score. Firebird Broadcasting Network. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Jill Ryczek. Firebirds, I would say, have one solid chance remaining. If they can get a stop against Hope, get a quick goal, and then play make it, take it, there's still that opportunity. But if the Hope Dutchmen get one more, that could just put it out of reach, doubling up the Firebirds, who have only scored one goal in the past nearly 20 minutes. And Hope again using their teammate, the shot clock right now. Plenty of time left. Dodging off to the right. Spinning, nothing there. 10 seconds. There is no shot the Dutchmen haven't been willing to take today with 5. Near side just grounding it out of play, and they looked like they just rolled it out to live to play another possession. So here we go for the Firebirds. Under 6, they need one now, and they need it fast. Jill, what type of offense do you set up knowing you have to score quickly?
I honestly just think if you have the ball, just take it as far as you can, and if you have the shot, take it. I mean, it's at a point where 5 minutes and soon to be less, and you're down by 5. So the only thing you have to focus on is scoring, not so much passing and wasting time to set something up. If you have the shot, you just have to take it because you don't just need one, you need a bunch. So
Gurn, there's that slide, loses possession. There's the frustration, but again, Alec Gurn didn't decide to plant the foot and spin, took 2 extra steps, that slide came over, and nothing you could do offensively against that. That's the defense that has been stifling all day for the Flying Dutchman. And so Hope taking all the time, and again, what an output for Hope. Game's, of course, not over yet, but my goodness. You and I having called the home games for the Firebirds this season so far, this was, I guess you could say, by you and I, our standards, this was not expected for the Firebirds offensively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the game were to end right now, or if they don't score within the next 4 minutes, this would be the lowest game that they've been able to score at home, or for the season, really. So yeah, this is very unusual, and it's a little concerning maybe if you're a Firebird. So
looking ahead for the Firebirds after today, they are back home this Wednesday, another non-con matchup against Benedictine University, 7 o'clock here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. And they head out of town versus Albion for their final non-con game, and they're back home April the 6th at 4. To take on Elmhurst University at the beginning of CCIW play. So if you're looking optimistically for the Firebirds, all right, get the jitters out of the way at this point of the non-con schedule before you have 2 more non-con games and then really get in the thick of things. Because then that month of April, conference play happens, and it happens fast. As for Hope, after today, only one more non-con game for them against Scarlet Hawks of the Illinois Institute of Technology. That's a home game in Holland, Michigan. And then they start MIAA play against Albion College away on April the 6th. So Hope really taking some momentum into conference play. Once again, Hope 60 seconds to just run out as much time as possible. And Jill, I know you've probably been in situations like this on both sides. If you're Hope, you got to feel really good about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you have all the time in the world. You have nothing to do but maybe make a few passes if you want. You have all the time on your hands. And, on the opposite end, if you're Carthage, you're just like, come on, let me get something. Let me get the ball. I want to be able to produce something. Like, you just want the ball so bad. And
yeah.
that's when things can get physical, and it's super frustrating if you're on the other end of it.
Again, Hope having a lane there, just saying, we do not need to shoot at all. Talking about some recent accomplishments for Hope. Men's lacrosse Mike Mann is the MIAA Offensive Player of the Week, while Junior Brainerd was the MIAA Specialist of the Week, and they have not even hardly had their names said today.
Yeah.
So that shows the depth of this Hope squad. As we're the final minute 40 of the contest. As for Carthage, not to sound cliche, but you lick your wounds and say, okay, watch the tape, learn from it. If you were Carthage, and again, we're just playing the what-if game, what adjustments would or should you make for your next contest? It's this upcoming Wednesday, so you don't have a lot of time to dwell on it, which I'm sure as a player you want to get back out on the field as quickly as possible.
Yeah, if you're Carthage, you can't even really just take this game and be like, okay, well, we need to do more on offense, because that's not how you usually play. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see what Coach Neff thinks his team needs to work on, because, again, this isn't how they usually play.
Yeah.
So if I'm Carthage, I would say, really focus on when you do have the ball, value the ball, which I know is what he said before. So you just really have to try your hardest to make these plays and really focus on getting the draw to begin with, because in the past, when they get the draw, they just have so much momentum and can capitalize off it so much quicker.
For long range, nothing there. Again, that's been the story offensively for the Firebirds. They've had their fair share of shots, of course less than Hope, but they have been fairly off the mark, albeit not by much, but enough so that it hasn't allowed any rebound opportunities, second chance opportunities. It's just been, okay, let's reset the offense. Faking, Gurn, jump, even misses the point blank as he rolls over. And with 3, with 2, with 1, that's going to be it. That's going to be all she wrote. The Flying Dutchman of Hope coming to Kenosha and get a huge non-conference road victory, the first loss of the season for the Firebirds at home. Jill, let's start with Hope. What an output we saw today offensively, but the stars is that defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see by scoring 11, their offense is just on fire. They started hot, which is what we normally see from Carthage, but nonetheless, their defense was even better than their offense, and to be able to hold such a good offense like Carthage, you got to give a lot of props to the defense, because they're just such a high-scoring team, and they held them to 6, so that's super impressive for Hope College.
On the flip side, the Firebirds fall to 5-4 on the season, now 3-1 at home. Again, you had as much as you could offensively as your typical players could. Birchfield, though, 1 goal on the game, 2 by Kroc, 2 by Gurn, 1 by Fry. So your usual suspects getting on the board, just not enough to come away victorious. In the goal, 16 saves for Bloomer on 49 shots, so he played as best he could. But nonetheless, Hope comes away victorious, 11-6 over the Firebirds. We want to thank you all for being here today. Again, if you want to stick around, please do so. The women's lacrosse team going to be taking the field shortly, as well as the men's volleyball squad will be in a huge conference battle against North Central College. That one, number 11 versus number 10, coming your way in just about an hour and 20 minutes. So again, your final in Kenosha, Hope 11, Carthage 6. On the Firebird Broadcasting Network, we want to appreciate and thank all of the staff and crew for being with us this afternoon, doing an outstanding job again, weathering the storm. And for executive producer Mike Love, John Voinovich, our producer, as well as Allison Ryder, Yam, and Carlin, doing a great job as always. This program has been a presentation of Carthage College, copyright 2024. 11-6 your final. For Jill Ryczek, I'm Peter Ferreri. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Hope you join us soon.